So start whenever, and so is Tim, right?
Yes.
Welcome, class. We are Team 6. We're presenting on Keurig. I'm Danielle Lippert.
I'm Ned Young.
I'm Katie Meehan.
And I'm Alex Perry.
So today we're going to talk about the overall overview of the company, and then we're going to talk about the industry analysis of the single cup coffee industry, and then we're going to go into our decision making and the one big issue, and then follow up with the strategies and our steps for this issue, and then we're going to conclude. So in July 2018, Dr. Pepper merged with Keurig, and they became Keurig Green Mountain Dr. Pepper's Snapple Group. This combines Dr. Pepper, 7-Up, Snapple, A&W, Sunkist with Keurig franchise of single-serve pods, the Green Mountain Coffee Roaster, and the Original Donut Shop brands. And then Keurig Green Mountain and investors currently own 87% of this company, while Dr. Pepper only owns 13%. So the company overview, Keurig as a whole, their purpose is to create the ultimate beverage experience in every life we touch, from source to cup, transforming the way the world understands business. And then their mission is a Keurig brewer on every counter and a beverage for every occasion. So in 2006, Green Mountain acquired Keurig. And then in 2012, the K-Cup patent expired. There's currently no K-Cup patent, but there is a patent on their single cup brewing technology. And then in 2014, 6.6 million units were recalled due to liquid burns. And then in 2015, CEO and CFO stepped down because of the Keurig 2.0. The Keurig 2.0 is the pods for the Keurig 2.0 are special pods that are more expensive than the K-Cup. So it forces the users or the customers that bought them to purchase the more expensive. And when people bought the Keurig 2.0, they were unaware of this. Today, Keurig is the leading manufacturer in the single cup coffee brewing industry. And here's Katie to talk about the general environment.
Thank you. So we're going to talk about the general environment, which we're going to break it down through the demographics, technological, and environmental factors. So our demographics we're in two main categories. So first is is around the ages of 40 to 50. This is our first target, and they have a higher disposable income, and most of these customers have access to clubs such as Costco, Sam's Club, things like that. That's where the majority of the purchases of our Keurig brewer comes from. And then our second demographic is the young professional, the college student, someone looking for the fast, convenient, on-the-go lifestyle. The thing is that all of our consumers, they share similar needs, and that's a higher need to have coffee faster in the morning, a higher need to have coffee to keep them warm. Things like that, these people have a higher need to rely on a single cup of coffee and a greater need to have it faster. So next, how technology has influenced the industry. So technology is a huge factor because it took us away from the traditional single-serve coffee, just from going to your Starbucks or your store to go get, on your way to the office to go buy a single cup of coffee, to being able to have your single cup of coffee in your house in the morning. So technology has allowed us to create this brewer, and then it's also allowed us to evolve the K-Cup and customization of that. But the thing is because technology is fast advancing, we need to stay innovative with our brewers and keep it customized to our, ever-changing demographic. And then finally, the environmental factors. So we found three main trends with people who buy coffee, and that is customers like to know where their coffee is coming from. They like to know what the farms are doing and if it's organic or where the coffee is being sourced from. They also like to know that the company is working with the concept of environmental green initiatives in mind. So Are they sustainable? Is their packaging sustainable? Are there green initiatives that they're taking to be more environmentally friendly? Consumers like to know these things about their companies and will influence their decisions when it comes to buying a coffee brand. They also like to know, finally, that these companies, so such as Keurig, Folgers, and other single cup Starbucks, things like that, that they have initiatives to help out the community and give back as well. So they like to know that they're involved and that there's other ways they're fulfilling their corporate social responsibilities. So next, we're going to talk about the industry environment. So we'll talk about the Porter's 5 forces and how attractive or not attractive the industry is as a whole. So our supplier power is high. We rely on a lot of other companies and we use their names within that. So they do control a lot of influence within the industry. Our threat of entrance is low. Originally, it was because of the patent on the K-Cups, but we also still have a patent on our brewer. So that is a technology that Keurig has specifically. It makes it hard for other people to enter the industry. It also requires a large amount of capital. So because of where Keurig is at in the industry and how far ahead they are, it requires a lot of money and investment for anyone else who would like to enter this industry, specifically on the manufacturing side. The buyer power is high. As Danielle mentioned earlier, she talked about the Keurig 2.0 and how there was a lot of upset customers about this 2.0 scandal because of the unawareness. And so Keurig actually took a really big hit when that 2.0 came out and they had to recall it and they lost a lot of sales. So we really did see how much the buyers influence our industry. And then the threat of substitutes is going to be low. Originally, like we said, the K-Cup did have a patent. And then it's also, so there are other pods out there, but they don't carry, a lot of them don't carry the K-Cup name. So we do see that a lot of consumers do trust the K-Cup name. So if there's not a K-Cup name on it, then it's hard to substitute this product. And then finally, the rivalry is low. Moving away from the traditional coffee shop and getting your single serve coffee that way, there's not many other competitors in this industry. We had Nespresso tried to compete with the industry, but they're just not at where we're at with Keurig. So due to these factors, it is attractive for suppliers. People like Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Folgers, this is attractive for them because they have a lot of power when it comes to this industry and marketing their brand. It's also attractive for them because they're only dealing with Keurig. There aren't really many competitors in the industry, so they don't need to be worried about what brand or company do we go with, do we sell to. The really only option is Keurig. So this makes it really attractive for them. On the other side of things, it's not so attractive for the manufacturing side of the company due to the high buyer power, and then the low threat of substitution and the high barriers to entry, especially with the patent involved. It's hard for anyone to come into this industry and compete with us, especially due to how much capital is required. So next, we're going to talk a little bit about the competitive environment. So the competitive environment is broken down into two sides. We've got more of our manufacturing side and then our K-Cup side. As you can see, Nespresso is really the only one who's competing with us in the manufacturing side. We're way ahead of them right now in that. So, and then on the K-Cup side, Green Mountain Keurig is the leading market share with 30%. So that's really good for us and that we're leading that, but we still rely heavily on a bunch of other suppliers. We are ahead of Starbucks and other things, but all of our other suppliers do make up 70% of the products we're selling on the K-Cup side. So that's something we still need to be aware of. And then next, I'm going to pass it over to Matt to talk to you about the internal analysis.
All right, so in the internal analysis, I'll cover the 3R framework and the business level strategies of Keurig. So first off, the 3R framework, it's really important to look at when assessing how a firm connects with their customers, especially, and it's also a good benchmark to compare firms to see how they interact with their customers. So first off, in the 3R framework is reach. And Keurig's reach, we graded as high, and our reason for giving them this grade was because, first off, because of their brand. Obviously, Keurig is one of the most well-known brands, not only in the coffee industry but just in the world in general. Additionally, their products are very available. If you go to any Walmart, Best Buy, or any other appliance store like that, you'll be able to find a Keurig They're easy to find online, such as on their website or like on Amazon. So we believe that they're able to reach out to their customers that way. Moving forward to richness, we gave richness a medium grade, and this is due to multiple reasons. The reasons why we think the richness is good or why it's good for customers is on Twitter, they've got 125,000 followers compared to one of their main competitors, Nespresso, who has 91,000 followers. This isn't a great discrepancy, we realize, but it still gives the edge to Keurig and reaching out to their customers. They do a good job of that. Additionally, they had a project in Canada called Keurig Canada, and there's a quote by one of their managers of this project saying, "By infusing customer feedback, Keurig Canada exceeded sales forecast by 42%, and they reduced their project timeliness by 2 weeks, or excuse me, 3 weeks." So this just shows that incorporating customer need has improved their business. So that's why we believe it benefits their richness as opposed to the Keurig framework. And we said that we gave that medium grade and as opposed to high because of the issue with their website or websites. They've got KeurigCanada.com, Keurig.com, Keurig Dr. Pepper. It's just way too many websites, and for someone who's not familiar with the company, it might be very distracting and confusing when trying to research it. So we feel if they were able to consolidate those websites, then they would earn them a high grade in richness. And then lastly, we gave affiliation a high grade. This is due to things such as adapting to the environment, such as seasonal products like pumpkin spice K-Cups or such things like that. And they also responded to issues like Danielle and Katie mentioned via Keurig 2.0. They recalled that because of the clear because it was desirable by customers. So next, I'll talk about their business level strategy. So Keurig's competitive advantage is their uniqueness, and this obviously just stems from the whole reason that the company began, was just to find a better way to drink coffee, to not waste coffee, and to be in that single serve industry. Another way they're unique is through their partners. They're partnered with Starbucks, McDonald's, Dunkin'. This is very hard for many companies to compete with because those are obviously large companies, and it takes a lot of responsibility and reputation to get partners like that. And this is just a layout of also why they're needed. Keurig's competitive scope is they're broad, and this is there's a statistic by a survey done by National Coffee Association saying that 64% of Americans drink coffee every day. So they obviously are able to reach out to a large demographic, and they capitalize on this large demographic with their diverse product lines such as coffee, tea, hot chocolate, and now soft drinks. So with the combination of uniqueness and their broad scope, Keurig has a differentiation business level strategy. So next, Alex will talk about Keurig's resources, capabilities, and core competencies.
All right, so the first capability that we're going to talk about is their tech brewing system. So they have, for the tangible, they have money, they have a pen on the brewer, and then they also have the K-Cups, which are special to Keurig. And then we also have the intangible branding, which we've been talking a lot about, and also the capacity to innovate these new brewing systems. So the second capability we're going to talk about is the partnerships. So like we said, we have a lot of suppliers like Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and Folgers. So the tangible resources there are going to be to generate the product, and then also the distribution channels. So suppliers are going to reach out to us because we have so many distribution channels. And then the intangible are leadership in the market, and then also a positive reputation through the shareholders. Capability number 3 is the sustainability plan that they've already put in place, and as you can see, there are the tangible and the intangible resources. Capability number 4 is going to be the diverse portfolio that we have. There are the tangible and the intangible. And capability number 5 is going to be the experience that we have in the market. So as you can see, the brewing technology, it is valuable, it's rare, non-substitutable, and costly to imitate. For sustainability, sustainability is not rare. A lot of people are doing that, and it's also not that costly to imitate. Partnerships, diversification, and experience. And those are our two core competencies, brewing technology and partnerships. And so now I'm going to pass it on to Danielle to talk about this issue.
So after analyzing Keurig and its industry, there were some issues that we thought to consider, but we decided to focus on one big issue. That is that we're not reaching all of the customers we could be in the sustainability, and that's due to sustainability factors. So I'm sure many of you have maybe seen these before, but in 2013 alone, Keurig's K-Cups could wrap the earth 10.5 times. That number has only increased and is still increasing. And because of these statistics, it took a lot on the brand as a hashtag and other organizations' websites and things have started to boycott and kill the K-Cup, as they say. So due to a lot of these factors, our reputation and trust took away. It kind of took away and went down a little bit. After 2016, we saw a pod sales percent drop into the single digits, and it's predicted to stay there until 2021. So that's a really big issue for us because we had years before, like our pod sales were growing triple the amount each year, and we're now seeing a decrease. And with that in mind, 41% of coffee drinkers buy their coffee knowing that the products are eco-friendly. So we decided to focus on all of these issues because it is big. It's a big issue. It's a large conversation. And by focusing on all of that, we're hoping to gain new customers in the sustainability channel. The thing is after all of the hits that Keurig took with this publicity and the brand name, they have already implemented some strategies and strides to address some of their environmental friendly factors. So our short-term goal will be to market the sustainability plan and already implemented goals that Keurig has already done. And I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly, about what Keurig has already set for targets to get up on the green initiative and make their customers aware of what's already happening. Long term, our strategy is to invest in R&D and create a biodegradable K-Cup. So Keurig would like to make a recyclable K-Cup. They have not done that completely. They have done it completely in Canada. By 2020, they're hoping to have it completely released in the United States that all of their K-Cups will be recyclable. They also are hoping to restore their water, which they've already met this target in 2017, so they're ahead on that one. They're also hoping to become zero waste. So as you can see, they're almost there, and they're ahead of their target because it's 2020 is the goal of all of these targets. And then lastly is reduce emissions, which they actually did that 4 years ahead of target. So they're reaching to reduce emissions even more each year, 25%. So with all of these things and all of these implementations that they have already taken, we want to let the customers know that, hey, Keurig is aware of this issue and we're taking care of it. And the problem is that they're still getting a hit on a lot of these sustainability factors, but they have made a lot of huge strides. So we need to make that aware to the public and let people know. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Alex to talk a little bit more about how we're going to utilize our channels.
Okay, so like she said, we wanted to make our customers aware. So our first demographic was the older generation, that 40 to 50-year-old. So a lot of them are still watching TV. So we're gonna make a commercial for them. Studies have shown that 30% of people that are influenced by a product by the commercials that they have seen. So our second part of this strategy and tactic is going to be the social media campaign. So social media is free, so why not use it? So we have seen that 66% of people have been influenced by something that they've seen on social media. So this is an example of what we would put on our social media. So we're gonna say that, hey, look, this is 100% recyclable now. It reduces the coffee sediment, and also improves taste by not using the grade 7 plastic that they were using before. So we took a look at why people buy coffee and how they buy coffee. So 45% said that they go into the eco-friendly brands. So people like to buy brands that they know are going to help the environment. 62% said that they like brands that they can trust. So we're trying to build that loyalty with our customers and that trust. 34% said that they bought coffee based on something that they've seen on TV, so a commercial about the environmental goals. And then 41% said that they liked the coffee they bought because of the eco-friendly packaging. So here's kind of our campaign calendar, our timeline. So in October 2019, right before Christmas, we want to roll out our television commercial. Get people thinking, oh, I can buy this for my granddaughter, or I can buy this for myself for Christmas, with these sustainability factors in mind. 2020, and it's going to be February, we're going to roll out our social media advertisements. So after it's fully implemented in 2020, we want to tell people, hey, look, this is already out there, and social media is more reactive, and so we didn't want to roll out a social media campaign before we actually had the K-Pods out. Then in June 2020, we're going to end that television commercial. We already reached our demographic, and then in July 2020, we're going to launch a couple more new social media campaigns. So tactic number 2, we're going to design a brand new box because, as we said before, 41% have the packaging in mind. So this is what the K-Cup will look like. It's going to have an aluminum lid, a paper filter, the ground coffee, and then the grade 5 plastic. So that is all recyclable. So we've done some research, and a lot of people are not recycling because some of them just don't know how. So we're going to put on our box exactly how to recycle. So first you're going to have to let your K-Cup cool down. You're going to have to peel the lid off and dump that out. And then you can wash it out, and then you can recycle your K-Cup. So cost breakdown for our strategy 1 is we're going to have about $1.2 million for the commercial that we're going to air. Then we're going to have around $600,000 for actually making the commercial. Then we're going to have $42,000 for the social media, because along with having that free advertisement of us tweeting, we are also going to have ads on the side of your Facebook feed. And then finally, the $50,000 is going to be producing a new box. So they're already producing boxes. All we have to do is put a brand new label on it. And that's going to be around $2 million for this strategy. So kind of to back up why we want to put $2 million into this, we're just going to reallocate it. They're already putting around $115 million into their advertising, so it's not like we're taking any money from any other department. Also, they've already invested $55 million into sustainability, so why not let the public know about that? And then we finally found that 38.4% increase when is because of the marketing. And now I'm going to pass it off to Danielle to talk about strategy 2.
So strategy 2 is reinvesting in R&D to create the biodegradable pod. The reason behind this is 25% of people do not recycle due to they don't know like where to recycle. 10% says it takes too much time, so the inconvenience is why they don't recycle. And another 10% said by nature they are just throwing everything away just because they know how to, and like that's just how they do it, or they just forget to recycle. So our steps are: step 1 is to research and develop the new pod. Step 2 is the testing time period. Step 3 is the change to distribution centers. And then step 4 is production and packaging. So step 1, the research and development. As you can see, the plastic pod is currently what they have for all K-Cups. And to recycle this, you have to empty it, the pod completely, like take it apart to be able to recycle, or else it goes straight to the landfill. For the new compostable ones, people won't have to take the time to actually undo the whole thing. They can just, it's completely compostable, so they can just throw it all away. And then this is to adapt to the consumer changes. and the needs. And this is important because Keurig is the leader in the industry, and them being behind in the environmental aspect is hurting them as a whole. And it also diversifies the demographic. This will reduce the negative impact of K-cup waste, and then it will also help their bad reputation that they are having because of the environmental aspect. And this will make Keurig environmentally aware and more attractive to customers. So step 2, the testing time period. We decided that in 2019 is when we're going to start the research and development, and this will take about 3 years to do. So in 2022, the logistics of producing the new pod will be done. We base this off of Rogers Family and Company. They do the San Francisco Bay pods, biodegradable pods, and it took them 7 years for their research and development. Keurig has more resources in them and has a higher budget, and they also have better technology. So and since it's 7 years in the future, they they know more about the biodegradable pods. So 3 years we thought was a good. And then in 2023, that's when they'll move forward and actually begin developing and producing the pods. They need to spend adequate time researching, because if they don't, they can miss certain things. And like the Keurig 2.0, they launched it and it had a lot of negative impact on the company, so they need to make sure that they fully understand before they launch the new biodegradable pods. And this will also broaden the customer base. So the cost for the research and development were kind of a gray area to us. We called Roger Family and Company, and they were unable to give us the exact number that they used for the 7 years. So in addition, this is such a small industry doing the research. We didn't really have a benchmark as a set number of how much will be allocated. So we said 15% of the revenue will be allocated towards research and development. Here's Matt to talk about the distribution center.
All right, so as Daniel said, our step 3 would be changing the distribution centers. There are over 100 distribution centers for Keurig, and none of them in the United States are producing the recyclable K-cup. So our plan at the beginning is to have a few of our distribution centers in the United States produce the K-cup, and eventually towards the end of our plan, our goal is to have every one of our distribution centers producing the K-cup. That way we can sell as many as possible. So moving on to our next step is just the production and packaging of the K-cup itself. So we had to do some research to find out how the resources needed for the sustainable K-cup. Some of those resources are just made from plant renewable resources and such, listed here. And based off of the little information we got from Rogers Company and other industry averages based on how to make K-cups, we found that our sustainable K-cup can be made for 35 cents, which is compared to the industry average for a K-cup or a pod, a single serve pod, is 40 cents. So we find that the 5 cent savings on that will be very beneficial as we produce millions and millions of sustainable K-cups. So the timeline for our research and development plan for the strategy starts with starting the research and development course as soon as next year, and then we want to launch our product to a focus group that's unbiased. That way we can get information about our product to see what we need to change and what we've done well. Next, we move on to changing the distribution centers or implementing or having more and more distribution centers produce our sustainable K-cup. That way we can get more out to the market. And then by 2023, we plan to launch our pods publicly as long as everything goes to plan. So in conclusion, based off both of these strategies and the issues that we found, in terms of revenue, we multiplied the American population, or the U.S. population, times 64% of Americans that drink coffee, and all these numbers were based off of a survey by the Coffee Association. So 64% of Americans times the U.S. population that drink coffee, times 46% of those that use a drip maker such as a Keurig machine, and then we multiply that number by 41% of people that have sustainability in mind, and then we multiply that number by the 50% of people aged 18 to 34, which we believe are the target demographic for this specific product, because studies show that people in that age range are most interested in sustainability. So based off these percentages and calculations, we found that we can reach out to 19.65 million customers in the United States, and so we took this number and multiplied it by 10%, because we don't believe that we're actually going to be able to capture every single all 19 million customers. So we believe based off percentages and stuff of the K-cups we sell now, we believe we can connect to 10% of our customers, making it 1.96 million customers. And then if you average the price of our top highest sold Keurig machines, it's around $120. And so if you take that number multiplied by the customers that we're going to connect with, that'll be our projected revenue, our maker projected revenue, $235 million. So moving on to the estimated cost, we took 15% of our projected revenue, and we're allocating that towards the research and development, making it around $35 million. And then, as stated earlier, we're reallocating our advertising expenditures to specific marketing for this project, and we believe that'll be around $2 million, as stated earlier. So, if Keurig is able to implement this plan that we've set out, we believe that they'll be able to capture the market that they're currently missing out on, which is people focused on sustainable product. And this will really benefit them in the long run, because as we've said multiple times, they're really hurting and lacking, or they're really hurting due to the lack of sustainable product. So we think that in the long run, as more and more people become aware of sustainability, they'll be able to reach that market, or be able to reach those customers, and which will in turn help them become very successful. And then it also further solidify their position in the single-serve brewing industry. So now we will open up for questions.
All right, let's give it a hand. Okay, today we have a little bit less time for question and answers, so be prepared for longer ones. I'll just come up here. Let's ask a couple of questions really quickly from the audience. What are some things? Yes.
Just what you mentioned in the house is, so espresso makes like espresso pods and Keurig pods. Are they, do you guys find that they were like direct competition, or maybe like even complementary products? Because I like espresso and coffee, I have both machines actually. So that's why I'm kind of curious about that.
So espresso was not compatible with Keurig, so they most definitely were not complementary products. Espresso had more of a focus on espressos and things like that. So I think with the Keurig is a general tailored to just your coffee and then different flavors, it was able to capture more of the United States market on that, especially as traditional coffee is much more popular than espressos and things like that.
So you guys aren't really worried about like espresso coming and taking over, like I guess that you could consider espresso under the coffee market, but it's not really coffee, it's espresso. You're not worried about them like taking some away from Keurig.
No, the closest that they've gotten is that they created a machine that is similar to Keurig in the sense that it provides a single cup of the coffee or espresso or something like that. So they're the closest to mimic our technology, but we also have a patent on ours, so they will never be able to reach that until ours expires.
Good question. Yes.
What do you guys think the advantage was for Dr. Pepper to merge with Keurig?
I mean, just definitely just diversifying their product, like, because obviously Dr. Pepper has the soft drink products. So I think that adding a completely new like market to their company will benefit them, because that's just so much more revenue they can capture throughout the multiple customers.
There's also an idea that they're trying to expand in not just the coffee, but other beverages as well. So I think Dr. Pepper saw that as an opportunity to capitalize on this equipment to then make other sodas and beverages through this machine.
You said that they basically have like two groups for targeting. One was 40 to 50-year-olds, and then one was young professionals. Do you view this more as an advantage because it's such a large group to cover, or do you view this as more of a disadvantage because it's so broad and kind of hard to target towards both?
We kind of thought of it as an advantage because you're able to kind of take the millennial kind of aspects of the social media and stuff that we talked about and really implement that. And then also it's easy to capture the older generation because you know what has been working for the past couple of years. And so you're kind of able to do more case studies on that and find what would be more successful.
Was the thing that Keurig shows by what, especially with the merge with Dr. Pepper, it shows that like obviously the beverage industry is so broad, as you said. So I think just their partnerships and the products they offer is just evidence that it's definitely an advantage to have a broad demographic.
Yeah. With that merger, are you afraid they're gonna like basically hand them to me with the VRs trying to do R&D spending with sustainability and new products with soft drinks with like part of the mini market?
I think that most definitely poses as a threat a little bit in where their focus will be. They have already come up with the technology for how to do the cold beverages. It just was not launched at a good time, so it did not succeed. So I think the idea is maybe reapproaching how they're going to launch this, then maybe we can shift the focus there.
Can you guys explore limiting disposable cups and implementing like reusable K-cups? And so like, what was the reason of producing disposable environmentally friendly?
So they already have a K-cup that is reusable, sold by Keurig. It did have a lot of sales, but the thing that attracts people to Keurig most is that it's really convenient. You just put a pod in. So we don't see a lot of people using it because you still have to go through that scooping motion. So why not? Like that's kind of like what our advantage is. So we're trying to capitalize on it.
All right, we don't have too much time, but I do want to ask you, what are some of the things that you liked about the presentation? Yes.
I was curious to this question. I think it's a really awesome job having so much prepared for this. When I noticed like you had a career fair and like 4 different events, and you did last week. I don't know how your time is, and you're really good. So just your organization being able to as a group to get this done in a short time period is just really good.
Fantastic. Yes.
I think you guys did a really good job on your slides, and you have all ones like just to tell you guys put the time in and memorize it. I thought like backing up with like back filling every information is like incredible, and that like turns the whole idea on accurate way.
I like how you're reading more you speak very clearly, and the visuals are really good. From back here, I can see everything, and
Yeah.
makes sense.
Agreed. Yep.
I thought the transitions were good.
Thought so too. Last one.
Really did a lot of research on the company because the answers or the questions that we asked you, you guys knew it, like exactly how to answer it. So.
Good. Let's give them a hand. All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. If you could just give your questions to one member of your team, come on up here. I've got a stapler, and then everybody can do it. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the game. Oh my God. Oh, you guys stick around. Yeah. Who has class right now? Anyway?
Good, man.